20 years ago, I asked the question, what if the internet changed everything about travel in Asia? It did, and it will continue to do so. So what lies ahead? It's a tough question, but it's also the most exciting one. Think back 20 years. Did we ever imagine travel would be where it is now? I certainly didn't think that I'd be here telling this story or making this documentary. But imagination matters. As Carl Sagan once said, imagination will often carry us to worlds that never were, but without it, we go nowhere. Laura Holsworth, Managing Director, Asia Pacific Booking.com, imagines a more inclusive world.
And if we think about travel, whether it is language or different preferences of travel, that we provide inclusive travel. So nobody should feel limited and nobody should feel excluded. So whether that's me traveling as a female on my own, whether it's two men as a couple traveling, they should have the same experience. And we know that's not true today.
Jacinta Lim, CEO and co-founder Six Sophie, imagines a world of communities connected.
The other fairly interesting trend, I guess, which came out of social media, got a little bit amplified by COVID, which I think will be amplified even more in the coming years, is niche communities. So you'll have, like chili hates, right? Like people who love like chili, like coming together, maybe like traveling together to, the next like chili conference or something. But I think you see a lot more of those niche communities popping up, and a lot in Asia as well. And you start seeing a lot more travel being congregated around these niche communities.
Timothy Hughes of Agoda believes in tech, trust, and law.
Technology is a great creator of the need for legal protection. The obvious example is we didn't need road rules until we had cars because we didn't really have a problem. And now with technology, we're creating more and more needs for the law to catch up. Data privacy, for example, is going to be a huge part about the way in which we manage the future of the world. We need to get a balance right. There's a balance we have to get here. At some point, drones are going to be as common as a mobile phone. What happens then? What happens where everybody's got a camera flying above their head? How do we manage people's content and privacy in that time? And now we see with the age of AI, we've also got a question of authenticity. It's possible that you're not actually talking to me, you're talking to an AI version of me. If there's one thing we know about consumers and travel, is the desire for authenticity, the desire for that experience to be real.
Ross Veach, CEO and co-founder Ouigo, imagines a world of high-speed travel that takes us to places in a jiffy.
So by 2045, there should be high-speed rail right around the Gulf, from Oman up to the UAE, across the UAE, connecting Bahrain and Kuwait and Qatar, across the desert to Riyadh. And the whole journey shouldn't take more than about an hour or 2 hours max. I think people underestimate how much it's going to revolutionize life here, just like taking the drudgery out of getting from city to city. So I see that as a key part of the travel in the future.
Then there are those who imagine agents taking over our world.
I think the OTA will have to morph and have to change pretty dramatically to respond to this need. So it's going to become entirely AI driven. My bet is there'll be actually a lot of new companies who don't exist today, but will take an AI first approach to the whole thing, a conversational kind of interface, everything else seamlessly locked up in the back. I do think most people will have agents, their own personal assistants or agents, either one for everything, an Uber agent, or different agents. So agentic flows is going to become really huge. I think the travel agent will be quite different. The OTA will be quite different from what we see today. And therefore, a lot of OTAs today who are not able to disrupt themselves and embrace the new will probably perish.
Then there's Stefan Ekberg of Travel Start, who calls it the Renaissance Age.
I think we've entered into an area of the new Renaissance. During the Renaissance, art and science, they went hand in hand. Mix of creativity and curiosity, expanded the horizons of everything at the time. I believe that business today is already going in the same direction. Everything gets cheaper, more people can create. And I believe that AI is the ultimate sampler tool that is going to set up, a flurry of innovation, in business in general. But, we're talking about online travel, hero travel, tens of thousands and thousands of companies. They will ultimately destroy, the booking.com of this world and Expedias, etc., because they won't be destroyed by one new player. They will be destroyed of thousands of new players that are more targeted, do things super cheap and super fast.
We also have the dreamers who believe that this period will lead to a true discovery of Asia and will herald the golden era for our region.
The stuff to be discovered yet in Asia in a physical sense, I think some places which are amazing to go to but were difficult to get to. I think it's going to become easier to get to a lot of these places, firstly.
Or even the snow in Japan, which international skiers and snowboarders now call Japao, which is actually described for the best powder snow in the world.
I think the real treasure of Asia is our old culture, our systems for living. I think those are going to be rediscovered.
I think that the Asia will have a more story to tell.
Whether it's yoga or meditation in India, whether it's Vipassana, which came actually from Myanmar and now is very big around the world, or it's healing techniques, which are going to come from. I think a lot of this is going to come to the front because as people discover that, hey, people several thousand years ago were onto something around well-being, and we need to discover that. And that's a full cycle. I think the whole abundance thing will lead to that because suddenly people will have, or not so suddenly, but soon people will have a lot of the material stuff, but start feeling vacuous in terms of, so what is the real meaning of life? So I know I'm sounding very philosophical, but I do think we'll go there.
What's happening now is the clear end game of Pax Americana and the beginning of the era of Fortress Americana. And the future is going to be what the world was like before Western colonialism, which only started about 200 years ago. But if you go beyond 200 years ago, it wasn't the Western world ruling the world. It wasn't China ruling the world. It was China having its own space in East Asia and its own vassal states around Southeast Asia. It was Europe. It was the Americas. And it was, maybe as Islamic world. You had different civilizations all competing and co-equal under the sun. Western values and civilization is no longer going to be the only model. But it does not mean, on the other hand, a zero-sum game that you're having an Asian century and that American or Western century is down. I think you're going to definitely see the rise of an Asian civilization, but it doesn't mean they're going to be dominant either. It's going to be co-equal civilizations.
What comes next? More creativity, more chaos, more wonder. We've seen the past 20 years. Imagine the next.